feel threatened, maybe like someone's following you, you can call for help by taking out your phone, opening the phone app, dialing 911. But let's say you need to do it a lot quicker. Maybe you don't want them knowing that you're calling for help. Most people don't know that you can call 911 from an iPhone without touching the screen. You simply press the on-off button, the one on the right side of the phone, 5 times quickly. It's going to do 2 things: sound an alarm and call 911. Depending on which iPhone you have, you may be asked to drag a slider to make the SOS call, but with the new iPhones, the 8, 8 Plus, or X, it'll place the call automatically to the nearest 911 call center based on your phone's GPS. It will also share your phone's location. After calling 911, the phone will then send a text message to your emergency contacts. They'll see that you've called for help and your exact location. Now, you may want to set up your emergency contacts. You can do that in the Health app under Medical ID, Settings, Emergency SOS. You open the Health app and then tap Edit to add names and phone numbers from your contact list. Yeah, this is something you will probably never need, but it's still a good idea to get it set up on your phone for safety.
Going to briefly go over some of the features in iOS 12, which is the new operating system for iPhones and iPads. It's designed to bring a little bit more power to you and speed up your system. It claims to be up to 70% faster at opening your camera, 50% faster in your keyboard display. Things, even for older phones, are supposed to work a lot faster. Uh, FaceTime will be available for up to 32 people, even though you probably won't ever use that. The person speaking will come to the front. If you, this is for people who like to make animojis. You can make animojis if you have one of the newer phones. Um, they have all kinds of different things that can go on there with new camera features. Camera effects, you can put pictures. These are nice for younger kids. One of the really nice things is they are now expanding, as I said, artificial reality. There's a new measurement app that's coming out that allows you to just pointing your phone at things and it will measure um, phone, and does a pretty good job of measuring uh, things on your phone. There are all new kind of features, and that you'll see that really come to play in future phones. Screen time is really nice because it will let you see exactly how much you use your phone, and you'll be surprised at how many hours you've spent on your phone. And each day it also tells you what you're spending time on your phone doing. Notifications now are grouped, so it's a little easier to keep track of your notifications, and you can also from the screen turn them off or turn off the sounds on them. Do not disturb is a really nice new feature. You can set it to do not disturb for overnight, for an hour at a time if you just want to put your phone down, or go into meetings. And it also pairs up with Siri, so it can do things like turn it off if you're going. It recognizes events on your calendar, so if you're going into a wedding or a movie or something, it can also silence your phone automatically during that time. Photo sharing, made a lot of changes in the photo app. One of the new things is photo sharing. It will look at your photos and see if they recognize any faces, and then ask if you want to share those photos with the person in those photos. When it goes to their phone, it'll check and see if there are any photos that they have that you don't have, and ask them to send them back to you. So it's really much more powerful. They've changed the way you search for things. You can use longer terms to search for it. Siri shortcuts are really nice. So you're now going to be able to do shortcuts with Siri and just say a phrase like, I'm on my way home. And Siri would then send a message to your spouse saying you're on your way home. It might open up the Waze or the traffic map and tell you that there's a wreck ahead of you or how long it's going to take you to get home. If there's bad weather on the way, it would even open up the weather app. So there's a lot of different things that can be done with it. Privacy is the big thing with the phones and even iPads. So everything is going to be encrypted now. Um, there are going to be some new share buttons that will let you see if you want to share any information with developers or with a website. It will also prevent them from trying to identify you on the web. There's some new apps on stocks and books and news that are coming out. Voice memo is really nice because it lets you now reduce your really short messages. One of the nice things about because they're trying to push the two-factor authentication is if you get the text code for authentication, it will automatically fill it in for you on the site that asks for it. It will also suggest strong passwords and tell you if you've used that password before. Made some changes in CarPlay, and it gives you more battery information to change your what your battery does. And so it's available basically on anything newer than a 5S.
Hey everyone, Dan with Mac Rumors, and in this video we're going to go hands-on and check out what's new in iOS 12. Starting off with the lock screen, one of the first things you'll notice is that the mess that was the iOS notification system has been improved, and now notifications are shown in groups by message threads or notification topics. The new notification system also lets you fine-tune your settings without having to leave your lock screen or notification center. Simply force touch the notification and then tap the ellipses in the top right corner for more options like deliver quietly, turn off, or take a deeper dive into the settings menu. You can also get Siri suggestions on your lock screen. As Siri learns your routines, you'll get suggested shortcuts for what you might need on the lock screen or in search. Speaking of Siri, Siri shortcuts will allow users to add workflows from any app that can help with various tasks throughout your day. This is actually customizable with the new Shortcuts app, where you can create and customize a plethora of shortcuts or choose from the hundreds of pre-made shortcuts already available. The Shortcuts app has not yet been released, but if you go into Settings, Siri, and Search, you'll notice a Shortcuts section right at the top with the ability to add some suggested shortcuts or browse through a lot more. For example, I can select the See Top Financial Stories shortcut for the Stocks app, type out a phrase like financial stories, and then dictate that to Siri, which will trigger the shortcut. Once the Siri Shortcut app arrives in the App Store, I can see this being a feature that can help make Siri a bit more useful to some. Animojis on the iPhone X also received an update with a few new Animojis to choose from, as well as a new feature called tongue and wink detection, which with improved face tracking, the Animoji will now recognize when you stick out your tongue or wink. iOS 12 also brings us Memoji, a fun way to incorporate yourself into the Animoji world. This is obviously pretty similar to Samsung's AR emoji, but the face detection and trued up camera system makes this version of Memoji a much more fluid and pleasant experience. Users can use the Memoji Maker, a new tool to select and adjust a bunch of customization options to make your Memoji. I had a little more fun creating my Memoji than I thought I would, but to me this is still a novelty, and I'll most likely forget about Memoji in the near future. iOS 12 had a heavy focus on messages and FaceTime, and the latter received an update that will allow group FaceTime calls capable of holding groups of up to 32 people, which is absolutely insane. You can join or add people to group FaceTime at any time. During group FaceTime, the current speaker will automatically be front and center, much like Google Hangouts, where the person speaking becomes the prominent window on your screen. You can, of course, start a group FaceTime call right from a group messages conversation, see and join active calls from the conversation list, or in the conversation itself, and use Animojis during a FaceTime call. FaceTime calls can also be started from a standard messages conversation with one person. The Messages and FaceTime apps also got some new camera effects that can enhance your photos and video calls using the built-in effects or third-party sticker packs. Finally, even though these new features might make you want to use your phone more, Apple created a slew of new options and settings that can help you manage exactly how much you use your phone and what apps you spend the most time in. Starting with Do Not Disturb, we get a Do Not Disturb at Bedtime feature, which will dim your display and silence overnight notifications until you unlock your iPhone in the morning. There are also new Do Not Disturb settings that will set Do Not Disturb to end automatically in an hour, at the end of the day, or when you leave a certain location, or at the end of a meeting in your calendar. The Screen Time section in the Settings menu is where you will see all the various reports on your phone usage, how many times you pick up your phone in a day, and the amount of notifications you get per hour, and what particular apps are sending you those notifications. There are also more options like downtime, which will schedule a time away from your phone, app time limits, options for selecting apps that can always send notifications, and finally options to block inappropriate content with content and privacy restriction settings. Apple also redesigned some of its own applications like Stocks, Voice Memos, and iBooks, which has now been renamed to Apple Books, and added an iPad version of the Stocks app with Apple News integration. Speaking of iPad, some unmentioned iOS 12 changes to the iPad hint that a redesigned iPad is coming in the near future with Face ID and no home button. As you can see, the status bar has been redesigned to accommodate what would likely be a notch where the true depth camera system will be, and new iPhone X style gestures like swiping up from the bottom of the screen to go home. You can also pull down from the top right to access Control Center and from the left for notifications. These are some of the major changes that can be found in iOS 12, but there are a slew of other useful updates that have gone under the radar, so be sure to stay posted to Mac Rumors for a future video on some of those hidden features of iOS 12 in the days to come. This has been Dan with Mac Rumors. Thanks for watching, and I will see And in this video, we're going to go hands-on and take a closer look at iOS 12's new screen time feature. Last week, Apple introduced a slew of new features for its upcoming version of iOS, iOS 12. One of the focal points for Apple was digital health, and with that, developed a new settings section called Screen Time, where you'll find various reports and settings that will help you keep track on how you use your phone. To access Screen Time, simply go into the Settings menu and select the Screen Time option right underneath Do Not Disturb. From here, you'll see a quick look at your Screen Time dashboard and 4 subsections below. A list of compatible devices will be located at the top, and if you select one of them, you will see the various reports for screen time, like what apps or app categories are mostly taking up your screen time, how many times your phone is picked up in an hour or day, and how many notifications come through in a day or an hour, and what apps are sending you the most notifications. If you want to schedule some downtime for you or your family member, you can go into the downtime section, and after creating and entering a specific screen time passcode, you will be able to enable downtime and schedule the specific times you'd like to detach yourself from your phone. App limits is also pretty simple. This section will let you just set a daily time limit for specific app categories. These limits will reset every night at midnight, and categories include gaming, social networking, and entertainment, just to name a few. Unfortunately, you cannot set limits to a specific app in this section, but you can do so by going back to your most used apps report in Screen Time and tap the hourglass next to the application. From here, you can set how many hours a day you'd like to limit the app, and this will apply to all devices that are signed in to the corresponding iCloud account. The Always Allowed section is where you will choose the apps that will always be available to you during any scheduled downtime, or if you've selected the All Apps and Categories app limit. By default, the phone app is automatically selected, which will also include messages and FaceTime. If email is something you absolutely can't disengage from, for example, you can go ahead and add that to your list of always allowed apps too. The final subsection, Content and Privacy Restrictions, is probably one of the more robust sections of the Screen Time settings menu, but can also offer a lot of useful features that will keep your kids from viewing inappropriate content or making unwanted purchases. From here, you can enable various settings for iTunes and App Store purchases, and various content restrictions for the App Store, web content, Siri, and game setting. Screen Time could be a very helpful tool for those who are trying to improve their digital health and monitor exactly how much time you or your family is spending on their mobile devices. So what are your thoughts on Screen Time? Let us know in the comment section down below. This has been Dan with Mac Rumors. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.
With iOS 11 comes a new feature called Do Not Disturb while driving. This feature works in a similar way to the traditional Do Not Disturb mode, but it can detect when you are in a car. So if you connect to your car's Bluetooth, or if your phone detects that you are moving at a rate similar to a car, Do Not Disturb while driving can activate to mute your notifications, your texts, and phone calls, and it won't light up your screen or make any noise. This will hopefully help with distracted driving, which is a major issue. Now, also, if you get a message while this feature is active, your phone can automatically respond to tell the sender that you are driving and can't reply. But if the sender really needs to get to you, if the text is urgent, it'll break through Do Not Disturb and you'll get that message. And if you're connected to your car's Bluetooth, phone calls will still come through. In settings, you can set who will get an automatic reply, and you can adjust what that reply says. And you can also set when you'd like Do Not Disturb while driving to be activated, either manually, when connected to your car, or automatically based on motion. And if you're a passenger in a car, you can still use your phone just by deactivating Do Not Disturb. Now, this feature can easily be turned off, but if you have someone that you don't want to turn it off, like a teenager that just started driving, you can go into Settings under Restrictions and disable the ability to make changes. Distracted driving is a major issue, so hopefully this will help and possibly even save lives. Do Not Disturb while driving is coming in iOS 11. It's still in beta right now, so there may be some changes, but be sure to stay tuned to Mac Rumors for any
Apple users love taking photos. Stats have shown that iPhone users take 65% more photos than their Android counterparts and can have 2.3 times as many stored on their phone. That's why the Photos app is so important. In iOS 12, it gets even better. Welcome everyone, it is Andrew here for Apple Insider, and we've got our iPhone 10 with iOS 12. There are a bunch of changes this year, ranging from the big to the small, and we're going to walk you through all of them. Starting off out of the gate, you're going to see a couple new tabs down there at the bottom. Notably, the second tab, which is now known as the For You tab. It replaces the Memories and Share tabs that existed in the past. It combines what was in those two tabs and adds even more. Think of it kind of as the For You section of Apple Music, but for photos. Right along top, you'll see the Shared Album Activity, this live feed of everything that's going on with people that you share albums with. Then we have Sharing Suggestions. This new feature in iOS 12 uses AI to identify the people in the photo and then prompt you to share that activity, that event, with those people. So you can see identified people here, and it finds that person in my address book and allows me to share it right through messages. It's pretty cool because if you attended an event with someone and they have photos that you didn't take, they can add their images to the same shared album, kind of filling in any gaps that you didn't get with your own pictures. Then we have Memories. It used to be its own tab, but now it is here within For You. Everything else is pretty much the same. It'll kind of create memories based out of events and times and everything else, put them together. It'll give you a little video that you can play. You can get in there and edit that video, make changes to the music, trim it, make it longer or shorter, remove or add certain images that you do or don't want to include, and then you can share it with people. It's really handy and pretty much hasn't changed since before, though it just has a different location and maybe even downgraded a little bit to be included here inside of For You. Photos will then present you with featured photos. Photos that it thinks are really great and stunning and that you may want to share or just be reminded of. So they're much smaller than Memories, just photos that they really like that they want to show you. Lastly, we have effect suggestions. There's a bunch of different effects that photos can do, specifically with live photos and portrait photos. So it'll present both those options here. Photos that may look good with a loop effect, or photos that could be brightened up using portrait lighting. It's kind of a neat way to re-look at photos that you had in the past that you maybe didn't get to add any effects on at the time you shot them. The next tab over is the Albums tab, which is really not too different than it was in the past. Albums now scroll horizontally instead of vertically, which means more stuff can get in on this tab. We have Your Albums up top, then Shared Albums, People and Places, as well as Media Types. Media Types also have new icons, which make it really nice. These will look a little bit more fleshed out and full and easier to see what you're looking at a glance. Other albums at the bottom include imports, any hidden photos, and any that have been recently deleted. The last tab is the all-new Search tab. It's been upgraded to its own tab with a bunch of features going on. You can see moments, some people, locations, all common things that you may want to search for. But search terms are also improved. It is way faster to search for things, and you can even link multiple search terms together. For instance, if I search for water, I can see all these new suggestions down below of other terms that I may want to add to the one I'm looking at. So maybe I want to look at water body. Perfect. I can also zoom in and look at ones just in Michigan. Maybe ones that just include animals. It's kind of filtering and narrowing down that search even more. Some existing search terms have new abilities. For instance, you used to be able to search for places, but now you can do even more with place searches. For instance, I can search for One Line Coffee, or I can search for coffee shops. It'll show me any photos taken in those areas. Pro photogs out there that like to import some of their photos into their iPhone or their iPad are really going to love a lot of the new import features. As you bring them in, it'll give you that running tally. You can import them directly into an album or create a new album instead of dropping them directly into your camera roll. On devices that support the USB 3 input, it's a whole lot faster, and it's even faster on devices that don't support it. And there are a few other tweaks that are really specific to the iPad. Photos used to be a little bit of a mess. It was really, really heavy. There was lots going on. It was confusing to find things, and it didn't really seem to have a great rep. But now it's been really cleaned up, and it's much more of a joy to use. Be sure to check out our feature on everything new with the camera to go alongside photos in iOS 12 and all of our other iOS 12 related videos.
If you enjoyed this video, like it and hit that subscribe button. Also, check out our price guide.